硅谷是创新的代名词，是全世界很多地方追寻的神话。在中国大众创业、万众创新的这个浪潮中啊，中国的各地政府都尝试要打造硅谷。但是究竟打造硅谷的秘诀是什么？它的成功经验是否可被复制？我们一起来听听前斯坦福大学校长，也是被称作是硅谷教父的 John Hennessy 怎么说。汉尼斯的学术贡献重点在于重新设计电脑体系结构。他参与写的2本教科书被认为是电脑科学课程中开创性的。他是美国国家工程院和国家科学院院士。除了卓越的学术成就，汉尼斯还拥有成功的创业经历。在担任斯坦福校长前，曾3次出入硅谷，成为完全的企业人。而在汉尼斯担任斯坦福大学16年校长期间，把硅谷学术界和商界的联盟推向了新的高峰，对成就硅谷的贡献很大。
You're called the godfather of Silicon Valley, which has created this amazing ecosystem that drove innovation in the past 40 years and continue to drive innovation. So why did it happen here, and what made Silicon Valley Silicon Valley?
I think it happened here because there are a number of unique characteristics, right? The role that universities like Stanford and Berkeley play in injecting new technology into the ecosystem, the willingness to take risk and to tolerate failure, to think outside the box, to have a new idea, to pursue it, but also the fact that this has been a magnet for talent from around the world, and you see how many startup companies have a founder who's not from the U.S. That talent magnet, bringing people in, creating an environment where they like to live, after all, whether it's the weather or the fact that you can buy any kind of food you want anywhere in the valley, those create a talent magnet which has amplified the valley's ability to grow and do new things.
How would you describe the Silicon Valley culture?
I think the culture, it's work hard, play hard kind of culture to begin with. People work really hard, but they also play really hard. They like being outdoors a lot and the advantage of being in an environment where you can be outdoors. I'd say it's also a culture that tolerates failure, good failure, smart failure, not stupid failure and not ethical failure, but failure in the sense of this was an interesting idea, we tried it, it didn't work. And that works out okay, and you can come back from that, which I think is very hard in lots of other places in the world.
Was the immigrant culture important?
I think so. I mean, even going back to Hewlett-Packard, I mean, there were immigrants in the beginning. I think that fusing of talent, the talent magnet, and what's happened over time is as the Valley became the place where tech was really blossoming and creating new things, for a young person, it's a no-risk situation. You go to a startup in the Valley, it fails, well, there's 10 other startups you can go to. And
人们常说，没有斯坦福就没有硅谷。斯坦福至今已给硅谷各类创业公司颁发过8000份技术授权，至少有5000家公司的创业者来自于斯坦福大学。惠普、雅虎、思科、易贝、谷歌、脸书、英特尔、苹果、甲骨文、特斯拉等一连串具有世界影响力的科技巨头都在这里诞生和壮大。斯坦福因此被称为硅谷的孵化器。在 John Hennessy 担任大学校长的16年期间，他是促成了最为人称道的科技成果转化，使到年轻的创业者可以得到老师们的帮助和指点，也使到最前沿的学术成果可以成功的实现产业化。这种学校和企业间的亲密无间的合作，使到学术成果可以迅速地走向市场。
Technology transfer is hugely successful at Stanford.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that's one key part too for the formation of Silicon Valley.
Absolutely, and the key about technology transfer is it's a misnomer actually, technology transfer, because you don't transfer technology, you transfer people. The technology goes in the brains and the motivations of the people that know it best. You can't just write a paper and expect somebody to pick up your ideas and run with them. When I started that first company, MIPS, I started it because a senior entrepreneur in the industry, the person who had helped create Digital Equipment Corporation, came along and said, you have to personally get involved in taking this technology outside the university. If all you do is publish your papers, nothing is going to happen. That ability to move, whether it's students or faculty, they can move outside the university and then they can come back. And when they come back, they know a lot more about what the real problems in the world are and become better educators, I believe.
And we do have a lot of talents and bright engineers from China, but you don't see the same kind of interaction between schools and industries. So what needs to be put in place to allow this to happen?
Yeah, I think that's true. You don't yet see it. I think it has to evolve in a way. You know, the person who really gets, I think, deserves the most credit for Silicon Valley is Fred Terman, who was the legendary provost and formerly dean of engineering before that. He had a vision that was very different than the vision that was popular among many professors. His view was industry and academia are synergistic. They can work together. They don't try to duplicate one another. The university doesn't try to do what industry tries to do, nor does industry try to do what the university tries to do. They're on different time scales and different horizons. But both sides can learn from the other side, and they can have a sense of mutual respect for one another. And the academic side can bring new ideas to industry, and industry can bring a better understanding what the real problems are to universities. Building that ecosystem that works that way, that's really key. And I think that's happened in the Valley. It's happened in other places in the U.S. It's happened less often in other parts of the world, but I think you can see it emerging. There's more and more interest in trying to build these connections in China.
硅谷掀起的科技创新和创业浪潮已经蔓延到全球各地，许多国家和地区都在效仿硅谷的高新科技产业发展模式，努力打造自己的科技创新中心。
Do you think it's replicable then?
I think it is. I think that the challenge is everybody who comes to visit me at Stanford says, how can we do it in 10 years? We want to do it in 10 years. I said, well, it took us 60 years. So perhaps you can do it in 30 or 40 with the advantage of hindsight. But you need a lot of ingredients. You need a place where people want to live. You need permissible immigration rules which bring in talent. You need the university and that ecosystem to be creating new ideas. Those are all key. And then, of course, you need the venture community and the rest of the system. But that's the easier part, I think. The culture part is in some ways harder.
Yeah, you see innovation, entrepreneurship becoming such buzzwords in China
nowadays,
and many local governments are trying to replicate and produce the Silicon Valley, technology parks in China. So governments cannot be the spark, but the fuel. So what can governments really do?
So governments play an important role because they supply the jet fuel that enables the research activities to really take off. But that government funding, it wasn't about, I'm going to fund the next hot startup. It was about, I'm going to fund interesting research in an area where there appears to be a real opportunity to make a breakthrough. And there's so much serendipity in the process. If you overly plan it, you'll kill it. So you've got to allow that serendipity to operate. And that's government's funding of long-term research is absolutely crucial. There is no other source. I mean, a few large companies can fund medium-term research, but funding really long-term research has to fall to the government.
中国多个科技实力雄厚的大城市都在争当硅谷第二。